Aloha, y'all. It is Monday, Moon Day, full moon in Gemini, lunar eclipse day. It's already passed, but we're still in that energy. It was only like 4 or 5 hours ago. So the sun is in Sagittarius, the moon is in Gemini, Mercury and Venus are in Scorpio, Mars is in Aries. It is according to Dream Spell, Mayan Dream Spell calendar stuffs. Blue overtone storm guided by accomplishment. It is a root chakra day, Muladhara chakra. So if you're going to be doing meditation today, um, be doing working on your chakras and be focusing on your security, right? Your root, the base, where your fears are. Do the mudras, which are the hand positions. In this case, it would be like that. Um, do the mantras. In this case, it's Lam, the musical note C, stuff like that. Focus on the color. I'd like to think of my chakras when I'm doing it almost like a potter's wheel, that I have psychic control over it. It's like spinning super fast, and I'm kind of trying to clear it of debris and shadow and stuff like that, make it very vibrant, strong, spinning well, etc. Do what thou wilt, though. Try it out if you haven't, and you might be very surprised at the magic inherent within chakra work. Uh, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So let's go ahead and pull some cards on this moon day. What can we get? What can we get? It's been a very powerful full moon for me. I woke up at 4 in the morning. Have been up ever since, and I've been doing a lot of just stuff. I mean, this is in my first house. Uh, so actually, I say that. I'm in 11th house, Sun and Moon, Gemini. So I guess it's in my 11th house, but I'm redefining quite a bit. Anyway, I woke up at 4, so I'm kind of out of it. But the point is, Gemini Moon, Sagittarius Sun. We've got Judgment card. Big, big, big stuff happening right now. And I think that's the main theme of the eclipse we just had. You can still participate with this energy. It's kind of waning in a sense, but ultimately, what we have to realize is that. Um, this is the 20 card. We're in 2020. The judgment, double judgment, spiritual and physical. You could look at it that way. Judgment is we have to judge and choose if we want to hold on to old stories or make a new story. And that's what this whole lunar eclipse is all about, full moon in Gemini. Where it's like, have you been telling yourself stories and speaking to yourself in such a way that it's not, if all you do is say, well, I'll never do this, and I'll never do this, and I'll never do this, it's like, that's why you've never done it. Shift your gears. This isn't just about like bypassing and positivity and all stuff. It's like you've been telling yourself some magical spell, and you have the choice to break out of that spell and enter into a new level. That is the judgment card here. This is heeding the call of a higher purpose. The higher purpose, Sagittarius Sun, Moon and Gemini, heeding, listening to the words of the what? Higher call, the Sagittarius Sun. A resurrection, the rebirth of a new personality. Full moons are about deaths, and we're coming out of that and being like, I'm new, I'm different, here I am, I roar. Forgiving yourself and others, being the visionary you were made to be. I'm stepping into it. Hopefully you are too. Judgment. I am vibrantly alive and live into the god/goddess that I am. Haley, shout out my goddess. If we're gonna be like king, I'm a king and she's a queen. I'm the god, she's the goddess. Weird way to put that, but she's goddess energy as fuck. Love my bae, Haley Grotus. Love you. So, the powerful figure with their arms raised has just received the force of divine revelation. That's what this lunar eclipse in Gemini was all about. Sagittarius, we're getting the truth hitting us in an epiphany way. Moon in Gemini. Struck by an epiphany, can't make this shit up, he is constantly transformed, transfigured into a luminous space age preacher. And with Venus and Mercury in Scorpio, these are deep wounds, deep hidden things in ourselves, and we're transforming, metamorphosing, alchemizing deeply. I mean, look at this. He's rising into the highest form he can, basically. So he's transfigured into a luminous space age preacher. And that is kind of the shadow of Sagittarius Sun, where it's like, I have the truth and I want to tell you about it. Moon and Gemini, I want to share the gospel, right? Metamorphosis is complete. An unrecognizable embodiment of spiritual revelation. His previous life wiped clean. The rebirth is complete. Amen. I'm there. You're there too. If you chose that pill, you might not have chosen that. He is compelled to live differently, to change everything about life at once, for there is no going back. The story has changed. The energy transmitted by this revelation raises the dead. The skeletons are brought back to life, alluding to the far-reaching regenerative power of revelation. I mean, it's kind of like when I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't very well though. It's when somebody has like a change of heart. They're a villain, villain, villain. They change their heart, and they can never be the villain again, right? In a weird way. So we've made this switch. We are awakened from the hypnotic quality, the spell of the habitual and restricted being and doing in life, just getting by. In an instant, we realize something fundamental must change. We recognize the lie we have been living, the story about ourselves, and life is seen for what it is. It's like, how have we been telling ourselves the wrong story? It's a moment right now. The energy, I mean, you could tap into this energy. We can retell the narration. You're the director. What are you telling yourself? The meanings we have carried from childhood, the assumptions we have made, the lens passed on to us through which to view life. And with Aries, Chiron, and Aries, we're dealing with stuff of the self wounds, self perception, self filters. It's like, I've thought this about myself my whole life. The part of ourselves that was lost, has been hiding or lying dormant, is revealed and must be lived out, fully expressed in the world. We are called to action, Mars and Aries. The revelation wasn't asked for, it wasn't sought, rather it was bluntly administered. These times are hitting us whether we want it to or not. It is what it is. There is no choice but to act upon it. Awake to something entirely different about life, a compelling new possibility. We can't go back. Guys, I know I'm very excited about this because it's true. And I'm just kind of like, I gotta tell you. Gemini life. Judgment is a highly charged card, not always easy to receive and yet carries huge significance and potency. It charges you with the task of looking into your life without hesitation to see what has been buried, unloved, what's hidden, Mercury, and Venus in Scorpio. It's like, what are these deep, deep wounds? What are these shadows that no light has ever touched? Like the light of consciousness maybe has never touched this stuff. It calls you to bring it to life. The life you have been living was comfortable, perhaps, but it is not the full truth of who you are and why you are here. I've been a stoner for most of my life. I'm probably not ever going to smoke weed again. I can't say that like, legalistically or whatever, but it's like, that life is dead. My immature trickster is dead, but that doesn't mean I won't be playful and have fun and all that stuff, right? I'll still be fun and hip and all this stuff. 11th house of Gemini, but no more self-sabotaging trickster. I will promise myself, Haley, and everybody that. So it calls you to the life you have been living was comfortable, comfortably numb even maybe, perhaps, but it is not the full truth of who you are and why you are here. Already you quickly recognize the recurrent themes, dynamics, and patterns of your life and have a clear picture of where you were heading. It signals a new holism. The events and patterns of your past, like pieces of a jigsaw, have come together to form a whole, complete. In a flash, all can be understood. All is forgiven. You forgive yourself. That phase is over and you are transformed, free to live into a greater reality, a more expansive potential. Sagittarius Sun, where are you going with this new truth? Because, it's like almost like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's like, here's an obelisk on Earth. The apes touch it. Now they've become as fully adapted as they can in the evolutionary paradigm on Earth. And then they've gone to the moon, which takes a lot of technological, advancement and stuff like that. And now, there's another monolith. They touch it. They get a signal going to Jupiter. Because to get to Jupiter takes a lot more evolution. It's like that. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. We're just expanding more and more and more and more and more. And we have to be ready for these stages. And we are. We're being judged. Well, whether we are or not, we're being judged. All is forgiven. You forgive yourself. That phase is over and you're transformed, free to live into a greater reality, a more expansive potential. Stripped clean of all limitations, old beliefs, and experiences of the past, you can see into your own future with fresh eyes. Judgment calls you to be the visionary for yourself. Expect change to naturally unfurl as you revision your life in a whole new way. Guys, fucking powerful card on a powerful portal. Own it. Own this shit. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, you could tell I'm like jazzed up and stuttering and talking, interrupting myself and all this shit. Gemini and Chiron life. So I'm in Gemini life. But yeah, it's real shit. Heeding the call of a higher purpose. You're either taking the red pill or the blue pill at this point. That's where we're at, right? A resurrection, the rebirth of a new personality, forgiving yourself and others, being the visionary you were made to be, stepping into a deep, meaningful power that is not a joke. This is the stuff dreams and myths are made of. We are there, folks. We are always in the present moment in that weird quantum sense, but this is a big deal, what we've just gone through energetically. Intuition. It's the card that comes up. Can't make this shit up. It's a moon day, right? Guided by the moon. The moon is the intuitive kind of element. And you can see even the polarity, the black cat, the white light. She's in the middle of the circle, the fullness, the full moon. The intuition, the high priestess, going in the shadows, the spider webs, checking out things. Forgiving herself. She's maybe made some potions and hexes that hurt people. Maybe she's made, all this kind of stuff, right? This lady of the night is stepping into a new dimension. In her side of her crystal ball is the moon, and it's like a new universe. It's like we have that. It's a portal. Like, are we going into it? So this is number 22. 22. Come on now. Here we go. 22. Keywords: intuition, signs, patterns, synchronicity, trust, mystery, and magic. Sun in Sagittarius is high levels of magic. Moon in Gemini, synchronicity, being aware of the signs, right? Knowing how to read the signs. Venus and Mercury in Scorpio, you're being told deep magic, deep secrets, seeing deeply into the patterns, more deeply than possible before, right? Using your intuition highly. Key phrases: intuition is your sixth sense, the voice of your unconscious mind. Heed your intuitive feelings, intuitive skill born of practice, picking the option that feels right, strengthening your intuition, tapping into your other senses, making your best guess. Be both intuitive and rational, so that's the Gemini moon kind of thing, both and. Watch and observe. Intuition or bad past experiences. Like, are you letting your scars hold you back? Are you saying, oh, I'm going to get hurt because it happened before? It's like, maybe not. Seek a second opinion. Gemini moon, Gemini full lunar eclipse. Geminis, I myself can talk to myself. Everyone can talk to themselves, but you can split off and twin and project and get mentored or teach yourself, right? Seeking a second opinion. There are many words and phrases used to describe the subject of the sixth influence card, intuition. That funny feeling or an inkling, a sneaking suspicion, a hunch, a knowing, a feeling in one's bones, a gut feeling, a premonition, a presentiment, and a foreboding. It is inexplicable. You cannot pinpoint why you feel or believe as you do. You just know it in your gut, and every fiber of your being demands that you listen to it. Sagittarius Sun, I know this truth. And you may or may not be able to communicate it to yourself or others, Gemini Moon. Sometimes the shadow of that's like, I don't know how to say this. What is intuition? Intuition is your sixth sense. Intuition is a knowing or a feeling or a gut feeling that you experience without fully understanding the logic, Gemini Moon, or reason behind that feeling. It might defy rational thought or an explanation, like I'm saying, kind of the shadow of Gemini Moon, but you want to trust it nonetheless. Intuition is a bridge between conscious and unconscious minds, between the instinct and reason. It is your unconscious mind communicating with you, your twin, your inner twin, the shadow, or the unconscious, or whatever. It can come to you in a flash of insight or a feeling, or you can have an intuitive experience within a dream or a daydream. It is also something quite often experienced during creative endeavors. In fact, most creative endeavors are better for being intuitive. That's when we bring the heart of the Sagittarius and we say, I'm going to do this thing. And with Venus and Mercury in this, it's like, we're going to make this transformation magical as fuck, like squared, magic squared. It's like we're saying all the spells and we're also like doing the dances. Intuition is knowing that something needs to be done, not knowing why it needs to be done, but trusting and doing it anyway. Why? Because our intuition provides solutions. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt a certain vibe, or met someone you were at ease with from the very first moment and felt like you have known them forever? Have you ever had the feeling that something is not right or too good to be true? Have you ever heard the phone ring and known who it was before answering? I do that a lot with music on the radio and stuff. I'll be like, oh, I'm thinking of a song, and then it happens. It's very eerie, but I do have 12th house Mercury conjunct Mars in Cancer. This is your intuition, your sixth sense, at work, but how strong your intuition and intuitive abilities are is dependent upon how often you use them. Do you trust that gut feeling or knowing, or do you push it aside as illogical and irrational? Magic doesn't work if you don't believe it. To have a strong intuitive ability and to use it has nothing to do with the paranormal or supernatural. Would it surprise you to know that there is a lot of legitimate research, including studies by the U.S. Navy, into how intuition works and how it can be strengthened to help in situations where intuitive thinking may save lives? Gemini Moon. It's like, this isn't just woo. There's logic here. We can back our emotions with reason and facts and research studies, and the U.S. government Navy is doing this, like men who stare at goats stuff or whatever they're kind of alluding to. Some of the greatest scientific discoveries have been in moments of intuitive insight. Archimedes jumping out of the bathtub saying, Eureka, I found it, right? Isaac Newton getting hit in the head by the apple. Frederick Kekule, I don't know who that is, all followed their intuitions. Albert Einstein believed that intuition was of great value when it came to innovation and invention. And innovation is this archer being pulled back, the Sagittarius Sun. We're letting go, Mars and Aries, and we're saying, I'm going to do the thing. I have an innovative thing. And using the intuition a little is all the Scorpio, Venus, Mercury, Scorpio energy with the Gemini moon, where it's like, I can actually make this work. I know how to follow my dream, right? My deepest desires that I forgot or maybe never even knew. It is very easy to dismiss intuitive feelings and thoughts that come to us, but your sixth sense is no different from your other senses. It is there to be used, and incorporating it into your daily life will only enhance it. Why do you think I pull cards? I started pulling cards. Like, it's not like I was just like one day, oh, I'm magical. It's like I did a lot of LSD and I turned on to kind of astrology and new age stuff all kind of at once. I'd been open maybe to astrology my whole life, but it's like I didn't know shit about it. And then in about 2013, after a big breakup, I was an alcoholic. I kind of got off alcohol with acid, and I started doing, like I said, tripping like once a week. And at some point, I started being like, I'm gonna pull 3 cards. Just it was a zombie tarot deck. I left it in Australia, so it's gone forever. But my first deck was a zombie tarot deck, which some of you who watch for a long time may remember. And I would pull 3 cards and be like, all right, so this is for the morning-ish, middle of the day, and evening, or however you want to break that down, right? The chunks of the energies of the day. And then I would kind of just muse and reflect on it and be like, is this accurate? Gemini Moon, I'm doing an exploration. I'm testing, like, right? And curious. And then it became more and more apparent. I'm very connected to cards. I'm very connected to magic and synchronicity, and aren't we all? But like, you have to try these things in your own experiment, laboratory, to see what it looks like for you. Also, hit me up for a reading if you want, because I can help you kind of know where your magic might inherently lie. If you might not have anything to do with cards, and you're pulling cards like, why can I never connect with cards? It's like, well, it's not the magic you're supposed to be doing. Maybe you're supposed to be like, I don't know, something else, right? And I could help you with that, just based off your astrology chart, which is kind of crazy. It takes both courage and practice to heed your intuition. Kind of why I'm ranting about this. Practice. It started somewhere, and I've made it a practice. We are so often told to base our decisions on rational thought and logic, and to weigh each choice with care. Your decision-making process can, however, be enhanced by listening to your gut feelings. In fact, it is important to use both rational thought and reason, and intuition and instinct, both and simultaneity. Gemini, Moon, Life. The intuition card, when it appears in the present, signifies the importance of heeding your intuition. It is better to appear foolish in the short term than to make a mistake that could cost you far more in the long term. What do you do when you have half a dozen options before you and all have equal pros and cons? In the end, the only option available is to go with an intuitive decision and pick one that feels right for you. If a situation or a person has you feeling tense, has your stomach in knots, has you feeling agitated, uncomfortable, or pressured, then back away. Trust your gut. Conversely, if someone has you feeling at ease and imbued with a sense of rightness, embrace the moment. Heed your feelings. If you have a situation that needs resolving, a problem that needs solving, somebody close to your heart that needs help, then it is time to stop worrying. Calm yourself. Take some deep breaths. Calm your mind. Deep breaths, once again, helps a lot. Extreme emotions, such as anger and fear, because emotions are all valid and even anger and fear are, but when they get extreme, will only hamper your intuitive abilities. You could have fears being like, oh, I'm pinging and my stomach's doing all this weird stuff. They're doing this thing. It's like, no, you're mixing signals because of the fear and anger or whatever, in the way. Find a quiet place. Go for a walk to clear your mind. The answer, the solution will come via intuitive means when you stop worrying over the problem. Reminds me of Gandalf from Lord of the Rings when they're at that crossroads in the mines of Moria. And he's like, which way? He's like, I don't know. And they sat there for a while with Gollum kind of lurking in the background or whatever until he was like, this way. I'm intuiting it. Like, he had a reason, a logical reason, but he had to wait until his gut said yes. Make judgment calls. Use your intuition. Don't let it just, don't make every call and be like, what do the bird entrails say? You don't want to just do that and like not use reason. If it's like, it's both. It's reason and intuition that lead to proper judgment, ultimately. Let's go ahead and get Galactic Heritage card. I'm being rather verbose today. The full moon's in Gemini when just rambling like I am. Seduction and Addiction. Number 58. This is an Orion timeline. And it is as follows. 58. And we were talking all about on the last podcast with Thomas Sakowicz. We've had a lot of good podcasts lately. You should check out the Team Rabbit Hole podcast. Thomas Sakowicz was on, and we were talking about galactic histories and stuff. And Orion, that's the whole point. Galactic heritage, right? What is the history here on a higher multidimensional plane, maybe? This isn't about like little green men on Mars necessarily. This is about like dimensionalities beyond human as we perceive them, or more. 58, Orion, Seduction and Addiction, present timeline. Each time we engage in a habit or a thought pattern, it grows stronger. So if you're always saying, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, this is the whole point of this lunar eclipse in Gemini. What spell are you coding so much that you believe it to be true, Sagittarius Sun? You gotta, you're addicted and you're seduced by the magic of the words, Gemini moon. So it's like, what thought patterns, what habits, right, are you doing? Because Venus and Mercury in Scorpio is like, what thoughts are you addicted to? Like you're like, I'm this way and I'll never be different. It's like you're addicted to an identity level. It's not true. You're just choosing to be hold on, seduced and addicted to a perspective. We eventually cave the fulfillment like a drug habit. The thought of fulfilling the habit acts like a seduction for the ego. It must engage in this behavior pattern in order to feel normal. And maybe even a good example, and I'm not even poo-pooing astrology, is almost like, I'm a Gemini sun and moon. I'm a Gemini sun and moon. Am I addicted to that perspective so much that, I mean, it's true, but am I like limiting things? Am I, realistically, possibly. So holding on loosely. It doesn't mean I'm not a Gemini, but it's like there's more to me than that, right? This is true for our addiction to polarity. So, am I good or bad? Or you're evil, I'm good. I'm a winner, you're a loser. I'm right, you're wrong. Judgment and categorization. We are compelled to judge everything we see or experience in order to make sense of reality and feel safe. Gemini moon. We're trying to catalog things. But if our consciousness and thus our planet is going to transform, we must learn to resist the seduction of this addiction, which will shift us to a transcendental state. Sagittarius sun. You can go further if you don't limit. Knowing things have names is good, but if you can never get beyond that nickname or whatever, right? There's more to a person than their name, in a way, all right? You see what I'm saying. I'm not saying it maybe the best, but you hear what I'm saying, I hope. This card refers to the time in Orion history when they were trying to heal the polarity in their civilization and their consciousness. They were eventually successful, but it took a lot of self-exploration in order for them to stop reinforcing old habitual patterns of polarized thought. A lot of what? Exploration, Sagittarius sun, of the self. Venus and Mercury and Scorpio, deep exploration of the self in terms of mirroring and your shadow and what you're conscious of and not, your intuition versus logic. What words are you telling yourself? What stories are you believing? Moon in Gemini, full moon, lunar eclipse in Gemini. As long as polarized thought exists, beings are never free to live as their true selves. Fully integrated awareness. So what is polarized thought? It can be obvious, such as viewing reality through the lens of good or evil, or it can be subtle, such as unconsciously seeing yourself as separate, bad, lacking, non-deserving, and so on. And I think there's tales, culture, religions, definitely, comparative culture and ego tripping that we've had lately has put people in. It's like, oh, I'm not a GQ cover magazine guy, so I must feel bad about myself. It's like, no, I should love myself as I am. I'm not on GQ magazine. It's okay, right? But our ego is like, you could do something different. You're not good enough. Polarity, comparison, right? As long as we allow polarized thoughts to dominate our awareness, it is feeding an addiction that only craves more and more polarized beliefs in order to survive. That's why people who are really political are fucking crazy, right? They're like, or sports fans even, where it's like, it's one thing to watch, soccer. It's another thing to be like, I will go burn down a village. We love Manchester United. Fuck everybody else. Like that's an addiction and a seduction of the ego to a point where they're not using discernment. They're not judging properly. They're not even using their intuition at that level. They're being basic and they're reactive at an ego level. Doesn't mean like picking a team is bad, and polarity exists, but committing so much that you don't see beyond that choice and thinking the other equal opposite is dead wrong or exactly opposite you, like I'm God, they're the devil, that kind of thing. Problematic. As long as we allow polarized thought to dominate our awareness, it is like feeding an addiction that only craves more and more polarized beliefs in order to survive. This addiction is seductive. It lures you into a trap of self-sabotaging beliefs and behavior that stops the process of awakening. If this card came up in your reading, look at the other card to see if there's a theme repeating itself, and I think there is. It's like, are you being discerning? Are you moving past self and other judgment to like a higher place? Are you using your intuition magically? Are you cock blocking yourself from being magical because you don't think it's reasonable? Look at the other cards. It's asking you to examine if your innermost self-addiction thought patterns. Hold on. It is also asking you to examine your innermost self for addictive thought patterns that keep you stuck in suffering and pain. If you just commit to like, my life is hard, it will be hard, you will have a hard life. And it might even have moments of grace and beauty, but because you're telling yourself a certain thing, you expect it, you become addicted and seduced to a certain thing. It's almost like Gollum has the twins. Like, think about Lord of the Rings. I've mentioned that a lot in the podcast history with Thomas. It's coming up a lot. We discussed why intuitively. He had a good insight on that. Check it out. But also with Gollum, where he's got a Gemini moon situation. He's schizophrenic. He's got a good side and a bad side, twins. And one side's like, we won't hurt the hobbitses. They're our friends. That's the, discerned intuited thing, the right judgment, right? But then he has a seduced ego, an addicted ego that's like, we'll take them to Shelob so they die so we can get the precious. Uh-oh. We're always being confronted with that kind of stuff, guys. Me too, trust me. And if you're telling yourself certain stories like, I'm never going to make it, or I'm not good enough, or I'm angry at them, I'm jealous of them, you're never going to get out of that story. You got to be aware of the script you're reading for your play, or the film of your life. Those, if you get stuck in suffering and pain, it's like, oh, it's all going to hurt, it's all going to hurt, it's all going to hurt. You're just going to be bracing. I've seen a little gif or whatever of this kid being like, ah, and he thinks he's going to drown, and he stands up and he's like, oh, it's not that bad. What was fucking with him? His addiction to the idea that he's a victim of fear or whatever. His intuition was off. He wasn't judging the situation properly. So he stood up, he's like, oh, I shouldn't be crying. Right? So that happens emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. The power for change. Okay, those thought patterns are no longer necessary, and when they change, suffering is lessened considerably. The power for change, freedom, and happiness is in your hands, nobody else's, and it all stems from being aware of how your thoughts affect your experience of reality. Do you think that's air you're breathing right now? Do you think that's really pain you're feeling right now? Or are you trapped into a story that says, I need to feel victimized, and now you're pulling in all the stories that make you remember that you're addicted to that story? The ancient Orions had to learn this too, so it's not just us. They succeeded and eventually awakened to a very high level of consciousness. This is possible for you as well. So there's hope, right? There's always hope to take a red pill and expand your consciousness, see more of yourself, Gemini moon, see the truth beyond just a perspective, Sagittarius sun, right? So never give up. And like I said, honestly, and this isn't just like, it's a plug, but I'm not saying this just because I want to make a load of money or something. Hit me up. I'm really good at helping people orient their stories and what spells they're naturally coded for with astrology charts and cards. Both are very useful, obviously. But if, let's look at your chart and talk about what story you've been telling yourself and how you can break away from it. What stories have you been avoiding that you need to tell yourself? That kind of stuff. Armadillo, groundedness. This is perfect because with so much fire and deep waters, all this Scorpio and Sag and Gemini energy, it's like we need to ground. We need to ground. Without grounding ourselves, we can become disconnected and flighty. So there's an important aspect to develop. That's the sad part of Geminis. It's like we're just. It's like, yo, put your feet in the ground. You could still think up here, but don't disappear. Go to the basics first. Plug into the power of Earth. It's a root chakra day. Plugging into the power of your Earth, your secure spot, your Muladhara chakra, right? Plugging into the basics, right? The first root chakra. Avoid drama in situations, right? We get addicted and seduced into fights and drama because we feel like there isn't going to be justice and we have to be the judge and we have to defend ourselves. But if we just lean into the intuition and know that the universe has our back at all times and the spectrum from dark to light is understood fully by you always at some level, you won't be so argumentative. You won't be so dramatic, right? So it says, avoid drama in situations. Try to be like reasonable, Gemini moon. Sometimes we need to look at the flowers at our feet before looking at the stars. Humility is a positive trait. False humility is not. Here's the mythos. The god walks slowly but surely upon the earth. He is of high age and leans a little on his walking stick but moves smoothly. His shoes are heavy and they feel the earth with every step. This grandfather, Mom, is wise and eternal, but make no mistake, age does not mean weakness, for he is powerful. He wears a hat of the bird of the night, for he walks from the underworld. He has the ears of a jaguar, for he is one who powerfully walks through the darkest of nights. He wears the cape of an armadillo shell, for he is protected and grounded and carries all he needs with him. A man of magic, he smokes the herbs of vision, yet he can weave the worlds together while being sure upon his feet. This, according to the classification of codical gods, is one of the major pre-Spanish Mayan deities, God El. God El is featured in many Mayan artworks, but specifically the most famous has him walking around the door of the sanctuary at Palenque. The Mayans put specific consideration into the depictions of their gods, with every single piece of clothing signifying the character and qualities of the deity. So you're trying to tell big mythical stories, Sun and Sagittarius, with like details that are psychologically accurate. Gemini moon, Venus and Mercury and Scorpio. And have like a deep layering to them. So he represented more than just like an old man or whatever. The armadillo with its shell indicated not only an animal of the ground, but the protection of a shield. It is thought then that God El was related to war. His special shoes and walking stick indicate a trader and someone who has to move over distances in a safe and steady way. God El may have had a role in the building of prosperity through trade. Armadillos also feature in the mythos of Aztecs, who called them turtle rabbits, and in some of the First Nation stories of the people of the southern United States. Animal. Armadillos are distinctive animals because of their leathery armored shell and incredible adaptation that has enabled them to hold on through a lengthy evolution. The armor is actually overlapping plates of bone covered with horns called scutes. The scutes are rigid, particularly over the front half of the animal, and typically become more flexible over the back, legs, and tail. The underneath of the animal is furry and unarmored. Contrary to popular belief, only a few armadillo species actually roll up in a ball if threatened by its predator. Most will attempt to run and find some thick ground plant or stone cover where they will be very hard to get at. Armadillos get their food from the earth, so their claws are perfectly adapted to effective digging. Grubs, ants, termites are favored. They also use the claws to dig their dens or burrows where they spend their time while not looking for food. Babies are born in the dens, which helps them thermoregulate as their base body temperatures are low. There are around 21 species of armadillo. The largest is a giant armadillo at 1.5 meters long, 54 kilograms in weight. The smallest is only 13 to 15 centimeters. Magic. The armadillo magic is profoundly earth-based and grounded, root chakra. It's where we're needing to go with all this other atmospheric, sun in Sagittarius, lunar eclipse, full moon in Gemini, like all this Scorpio energy. We need to ground. It is ancient and profound. It can be used when you're feeling off kilter and unsure. If you aren't clear on what to do next, or have had a trauma or a shock, use armadillo magic to bring you stability and power. And your breath, honestly, is one of the best ways to ground. Deep breathing exercises, holotropic breathing, if you want to get like trip out naturally or whatever. Check it out. Right, those are grounding techniques. Symbologies: old man with a cape of an armadillo, shield, armor, claws in the earth. Status: some species are listed as vulnerable. Most are. I think it said something. Drop the thing. Most are. Drumroll, please. Threatened. That's what I thought it said, but I didn't want to presume. So, very helpful card. I've got a essential oils diffuser that my fiance got me for Christmas. Thank you, Haley. Love you. And I've got a Taurus, midheaven, Venus in Taurus, North Node in Taurus. Sensuality is really important to me. And I've got lemongrass going right now, and I'm like, yeah, it smells so good. I love lemongrass. It's very enlivening and yet grounding, so it helps. The artist card for the day is Damien Hirst, full moon in Gemini, with all this Scorpio energy, right? It's Gemini wants to dissect, right? It's like, what is going on? Full moon in Gemini is very represented here. So Damien Hirst, the last artist in the deck. Damien, more money, more problems. Hirst, adult, enfant, and terrible. Gemini, like Peter Pan syndrome, right? Is among the most celebrated and lucrative artists of his generation. A winner of the Turner Prize and preoccupied with the subject of mortality. Aided by scientific and pharmaceutical advances, Hirst's artwork offers wry commentary on humanity's ineffective faith in tech and medicine to heal our existential wounds. Among Hirst's trademark flourishes are the suspension of sharks, calves, cowheads, and dissected pigs in formaldehyde. Very Mercury and Venus and Scorpio being like, look at this taboo looking thing, and I'm trying to Gemini moon express some deeper thought about Sagittarius sun truths, like drugs don't make us happy, like pharmaceutical drugs. Among Hirst's trademark flourishes are the suspension of sharks. I said this already. The diamond incrustation of a cast human skull, so he's really being taboo, and the display of so many pharmaceuticals in backlit cabinets. All roads lead to a psychological cul-de-sac. So the advice we're getting from Damien Hirst: art and science are for confronting mortality, right? So I think in some way we have to understand that there's even a skeleton back there. I don't know if you can see it. There's like his dead self back there, and he's rising from the ashes or whatever. All science is pointing to like eternity, essentially. I mean, we're coming from an ignorant place. We've fallen from the Garden of Eden, however you want to look at this, and we're rising back into that divine mode. All art and science is pointing us from animal nature up to divinity, and we're rising from apes to angels, going through this alchemical process, through judgment, through purification. We are endowed with intuitions that are seriously, our ability to reason and use, reason, I mean, is the best way to put it, is a very divine attribute, one that most animals don't necessarily have the same way. And then also our intuition. And animals have a strong intuitions. During the tsunami back in, I forget what year, 2003 or whatever it was, all the animals ran to Highland, and none of the humans knew didn't do that. And a lot of people died as opposed to animals because they have an intuition. They're gridded in, right? our egos and our separateness is seductive and addictive, and we're so seduced and addicted that we're having to burn through it. Right? In the Bible, it talks about the refiner's fire, right? And you like the wheat and the chaff, right? It's like let the weeds grow up with all the corn, and then burn the bullshit later. That's judgment card. We're there. Follow your intuition. Only you know what's right for you. Ultimately, no one can tell you. No book, no guru, no whatever. Right? You have to, it's all within you, but then it gets expressed externally as quote other. It's this Ouroboros holographic feedback loop. It's crazy. Don't get so seduced and addicted like Gollum to the ring of ego. It's tempting. It's seductive, right? You can reason. You can get stuck there. Gollum could have probably not been a Gollum. He was a I forget his name now, but he was a river hobbit, right? And he didn't have to distort so much. He became an ugly creature because he was hiding and stealing and killing and doing all sorts of weird shit because of the power of the ring that corrupted him, right? Don't be corrupted. Ground. Breathe. That goes a long way. And as Damien Hirst is telling us, art and science are for confronting mortality. Art and science, where it's trying to go, Sagittarius Sun, what is the information we're trying to download ultimately and look around perspectively with like Da Vinci kind of revelations and renaissances, is to confront mortality. Know that it's a part of a dream, but we're not stuck there. Like it's a paradox, right? So death happens, but you're more than death. Life happens, but you're more than life. There's a skull. Look, there's life, but what happens when you dissect it? Gemini moon. Like curiosity is tinkering with the machine of the dream a little. But be willing to use your intuition. Don't just be like, I know. Like, it's like, why do you know? Do you have, use your intuition, not just reason, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, the stone we have is Tibetan black quartz. What it is, the black in Tibetan black quartz references the storm-like bursts of an inky material often found inside the stone. The Tibetan refers to the crystal Himalayan origins. Tibetan black quartz reminds those on the spiritual path to non-judgmentally. Can you say this again? Judgment also includes non-judgment. Not being seduced and addicted to the ego of judgment, criticality, and not constructive. Right. Tibetan black quartz reminds those on the spiritual path to non-judgmentally ask, could I even be more clear right now? Right? That's the judgment card. Could I be better? This guy I was comfortable, but I want the best. I want to go forward, and I'm going to use my intuition to get there. I'm not going to be seduced to the, being basic and just staying in a level. I'm going to progress, but I've got to progress with my feet on the ground, stars, and, eye towards the stars, and knowing that you're confronting mortality through all your endeavors in this material world. Who needs it? Metaphysicists, occultists, tantrists, Sagittarians. Sun is in Sagittarius, right? This is the metaphysics, the occult, the hidden, secret truths. Venus and Mercury and Scorpio. Tantra is like sexual alchemy between two people. Gemini moon takes two to tango. Where to put it? Wherever you are looking to elevate the vibe, operate on a higher plane, and explore the vastness of your human consciousness, right? What is mortality? What is human being? What are we? Let's cut us up and look at some of the mechanics. But we're more than that because we can intuit that. Don't be so seduced and addicted to the material that you think that's all there is. Spoiler, it's not. And we're being judged. We're being refined, going from from A to B, B to C, C to D, grade 1 to 2, grade 2 to 3. Harry Potter, going through the grades, the levels, level 1, level 2, whatever they call them. Year 1, year 2, year 3. That's what life is. Progress through time, space, and hopefully learning. When to use it? When you're chasing enlightenment on the meditation cushion, when you're pulling tarot cards, holler, light up your spiritual path. Guys, can't make this shit up. This is why I want you to hit me up for readings, because it's like, dig. It's like this all the time. It doesn't go away. Light up your spiritual path. He's on a path and it's being lit up right here by what? Higher forces. Lighting up the path with the light of illumination, of intuition, rather. The illuminating with intuition. Yes, there's hard facts. Yes, there's death, there's life, and all this stuff, and you can get the full Ouroboros circle of it using your what? Crystal ball, the wisdom of the owl, right? Intuition, wisdom, knowledge, as well as intuition, both and. Don't be addicted to just material things thinking that's all there is. Ground, so don't avoid materiality. You want to breathe and eat well and exercise and, think good thoughts and program properly, but don't just be so addicted that you're like, all I am is this thing, and there's no spirit in here. See, I cut it open, there's no spirit. Or, oh, look, this guy's dead. He's not here. I'll just diamond encrust him. It's a material thing. That's all there is. It's like, no. Tibetan black quartz is saying, light up your spiritual path. Light up your spiritual path. You are a spirit in a body. And even the body and the material is a reflection of consciousness in a very deep, metaphorical way. That's why the dream is so complicated and sacred geometry and, synchronicities and patterns of archetype. It's awesome. I hope you're as jazzed up about reality as I am. Let's go ahead and play some music. So we've got the Judgment card, which is kind of a heavy card, with Intuition as the clarifier. Because I'm a Gemini, I'm being very affected. We're all being very affected by this full moon, but I very much so am. I'm a double Gemini. So let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm not just saying this for myself. Like, check out the podcast. Yesterday was great. We had two very cool guests. One guy is hosting a 7-day-long free 25-plus speaker international kind of a sustainable life, simplifying life, how to get, how to forage, how to recycle, all that kind of stuff. That's the first guest we had, Batar, I think his name is. I forget now. And then Thomas Sakowitz, who's one of my favorites. And we have him on a lot, and we talked about galactic heritages and spiritual bypassing, psychedelics, all the cool stuff. So, Judgment. So, with Judgment, which is kind of pretty intense energy, right? During a full moon, lunar eclipse in Gemini, there's kind of a few sections to that jam, if you want to put it that way. We're being melted down, and we've made choices, and it's time to either rise or die. The guy back there is dead. You're the kind of witness to it. Are you going to rise to a higher point, or are you going to die? Use your intuition. If you feel like taking the red pill, do it. If you don't feel like taking the red pill, don't do it. But don't be making choices out of addictions to fears, out of addictions to judgments, out of addictions to separation, right? That kind of stuff. Ground, breathe deeply, know that you're supported in this journey through science, art, and materiality to discover the hidden gem, the secret philosopher's stone of the material universe. Ultimately, lighting up your spiritual path with Tibetan black quartz. You can quantumly entangle with this. So light up your path, right? Maybe that's a version of him in another dimension holding himself to witness the material or something, right? Very energetically weird times, so make sure you're stepping into the fire that's being foisted upon you because whatever isn't going to serve, you have a choice. Do you want what's not serving to be a part of your life, or do you want to hold on to, addictions of the ego, seductions of the mind? Gemini Moon, are you confused? Follow your intuition if you are, right? It won't lead you astray. Follow a grounded intuition, and you will discover secrets about art, science, music, life, sex, drugs, rock and roll, the whole material shtick. But there's more to it than the material world. We're spirits in a material world. So light up your spiritual path with Tibetan quartz, knowing full well that there's a lot more to the picture than meets the eye. Holler for readings if you want. Love giving them. People love getting them. Check out the podcast. I'll post some links. You should check them out. They're well worth the scoping. And yeah, enjoy the power of this transformative time, this full moon, lunar eclipse in Gemini. We're in Sagittarius full on. Mars is direct. Neptune's direct now. We're doing it. We're dreaming the dream. And we can either have a nightmare or a beautiful dream. It doesn't make the beautiful dream lack tension, and it doesn't mean the nightmare doesn't have good moments, but it's like the choice is yours. Adios.